cuties. With the passing of rock and roll legend Chuck Berry on Saturday, memories are flooding Delmar. Photojournalist Randy Schwenker stopped by a couple of local businesses paying homage to Mr. Berry.
Fans all over St. Louis are paying tribute to Chuck Berry.
Keith Richards said, it's really hard for me to induct Chuck Berry because every lick I know I stole from him.
He was the first person inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and over at Vintage Vinyl off of Delmar, they're restocking his music.
Yeah, and he's important to a lot of people, so we don't want to run out.
And outside, the old mural is in the process of being updated.
And the new mural is going to be all Chuck, and it's going to be this big.
Down the street at Blueberry Hill, a venue where Chuck has performed many times.
The last time he performed any place was at Blueberry Hill on his 88th birthday week.
Blueberry Hill's owner, Joe Edwards, was a friend of Chuck's.
The first time I met Chuck Berry was just in the mid-1960s after a concert, and I just was able to walk up to him and say, wow, great show. It wasn't until the early 1980s that the friendship started to grow.
That friendship led to over a 17-year-long standing gig for Mr. Berry.
He and I were sitting around late one night, and he was reminiscing about the early days of his career in rock and roll. And he was just looking, and he said, Joe, I'd love to play a place the size of the ones that I played when I first started. And we looked at each other for half a second and said, well, let's do it. Let's do it at Blueberry Hill.
And that's what they did.
He performed at Blueberry Hill in the Duck Room 209 consecutive months. No other super rock artist has ever done that in any city.
The Duck Room was labeled after one of Berry's favorite moves.
Also, he intuitively choreographed those first great moves, and that meant the world to rock and roll. He made the guitar a star. Playing that guitar over his head, between his legs, and then doing the duck walk.
And who named it the Duck Walk?
The public kind of did because it reminded them of a duck walking and a scooting. He used to call it the scoot when he would do the scoot, but then I think the public started calling it the duck walk. He had a wonderful and full life. I mean, he did a lot of things in his life, including change music forever.
Chuck has a new album that's scheduled to be released in June. It's his first album in nearly 40 years. Blueberry Hill can be found at 6504 Delmar in University City. It's open every day for lunch and dinner. Coming up, the father and son operation serving the big